Welcome back to North Node Astrology. Today we have Amy, who is the second winner of the free June readings. I'll be doing three of them. The first one was Tiffany, and now we're on Amy. So, Amy's birthday is December 4th, 1985, at 9:13 a.m. in Chicago, Illinois. All right, and at the time of birth, we have a Capricorn rising here. So she always tries to show people that she can build a legacy, that she is a legacy, that she's financially and emotionally stable, that she knows how to take care of herself and take care of things, and take care of people too, right? Because the opposite side of that is the seventh house in Cancer. You guys see how this works? Okay. And with Jupiter here in Aquarius, there is a lot of her that tries to move forward, right? She's got that Capricorn projecting out into the world, starts things with legacy or tries to, and things of legacy come to her, right? Again, everything in astrology works in both directions. But her luck is more with moving things forward, right? Is with improving on structures, improving on herself, improving on that projection, as well as opening doors through Capricornian subjects, right? And that opens doors. It's about luck, and I suspect she may even engage with a lot of people who are either Capricorn or Aquarius, right? And as an 11th house, Sagittarius sun, that is understandable, right? So she is very Aquarian herself. And so she's got that vibe. She's got, Uranus in the 11th house, although it's in Sag, but I'll get to that in a minute, right? And a little more on Jupiter, right? Jupiter expands anything he touches, right? He either makes one thing big or makes a lot of things. Sometimes it's too much. So she may actually create too much space between herself and other people, or try to go in too many different parallels with too many things. Maybe trying to go in too many directions with the legacies she's trying to create, or the mask that she's trying to create. That's a possibility. All right. So we continue on in the second house, and this is our values. This is how we value ourselves. This is what the material things we value. This is how we think about material security. And these things always take time, right? It's the foundation of the second house is Taurus. So it's about momentum, all right? And this is also about our innate abilities too. With an intercepted sign here with Pisces encapsulated inside the second house, you notice there's no lines that start or end in Pisces, and on the opposite end in Virgo, right? In her eighth. So her eighth house is actually ruled by, it gets very complicated. So the house starts in Aquarius. So Aquarius is ruled by Saturn and Uranus. Her Saturn and Uranus are both in Sagittarius. So this is about experience, okay? And with that Jupiter in Aquarius, that's what she's getting experience in. She's getting experience in engaging with people who are moving in parallel with her, that are trying to create legacies and foundations, right? In addition to that, the rulers of Pisces are also in the mix here for her values, which are Neptune and Jupiter, right? So she's got Jupiter tapped here twice, going, from the first and second house. Now, Neptune in her 12th house, ruled by Jupiter, that Jupiter in the first, again, seems very Aquarian, right? But this is about releasing. This is about letting go. This is about creating magic. This is about creating boundaries. This is about bringing worlds together. So there is a big part of her that's kind of very sacrificial, right? She is very sacrificial to people and things, and she, probably likes some sort of sacrifice, or people seeing, her seeing that sacrifice in her life and the lives of those around us or around her. Anytime Saturn is involved in something, I always look back to the clients or the chart owner's Saturn return. In this case, Amy got 3 hits of Saturn. She got 3 passes. The first was in January of 2015, and then May, and then October. And then she's not going to get another one until she is, actually until November of 2044, and we're not going to worry about that. But those passes are always very intense. Saturn comes in and he asks you, did you do the thing? Have you been working on it? Are you fixing the things? Are you putting in the work it requires for that long-term savings account to be withdrawn from, right? And anybody that's either a Capricorn, Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, or if any of their houses begin in Capricorn or Aquarius, that portion of their life is going to be kind of tied up a little bit until they're, 28, 29, 30 years old. But they're always going to be making progress on it. And even back then in 2015, it was exceptionally difficult because she had Pluto in her first house in Capricorn. So there was she was really being pushed to transform, right? Big time. And in addition, you can see that Mercury and Venus were conjunct at that point, also on her Jupiter in Aquarius. So she was kind of getting leaned on to very much, upgrade all of her, Aquarian nature, her Capricornian, projection, and how to sort that out. With Neptune at the time in Pisces, and I know I'm getting way off of the chart reading here, but I feel like this is important. With Neptune in Pisces at that point, the details were exceptionally foggy, right? But with Mars also there, she was, driven to obviously upgrade her belief systems, her values. So you can see how all of these things kind of tie together, in addition to Uranus being close to the South Node in Aries at the time, right? So her foundation needed to be in her mind so that she could move forward, to create her beliefs, right? And Venus rules Taurus and Libra both, and Libra being the opposite house from the third house, ninth house, it's upgrading her belief structures, right? So there was a lot going on with her Saturn return, as with almost anybody. So I'm gonna move forward now. So needless to say, intercepted houses are complicated, right? And especially involving, Aquarius here and then Pisces. So because both signs have 2 planets, and she's got them in three different houses and 4 different signs. So her value system is upgrading, and it did upgrade, and hopefully she's been getting that sorted out. All right, so moving on to 3rd house, which is mind, and this is Aries, right? So her mind is very direct. It's very childlike. It's very much about, are we playing or are we fighting? And this is, to an extent, I don't know if this is necessarily an Aquarian thing, because we're her sun is in the 11th house, but Sagittarius wants experiences, right? And there's, we will go to great lengths to get those experiences. We will, go to war, and we will play and do whatever it is we got to do that, right? The 3rd house, or her 3rd house, being Aries, is governed by Mars, and her Mars is in Libra in the 9th. So she has very, pretty serious philosophies about relationships and balance and justice that fill her mind up. And there's also things in there about being stable and being, moving forward. Taurus, being, things being beautiful, things being aesthetically pleasing, but they have to work, right? All right. The 3rd house, it's the generator, it's the power plant for what comes out of our Mercury, later on, right? So, 4th house is our emotional stability, like whether it's a place or whether it's a person or whether it's people or an experience or whatever that, whatever we consider home to be. And a lot of people consider home to be different things, right? But in Taurus here, Amy wants that to be a physical place, right? With her North Node there and Lilith there, she wants it to be physical, but she wants it to be her way, right? That's Lilith in Taurus. So she might have things be very physical, or she might just have things be very aesthetic, right? And Lilith can, I've seen, people go back and forth on what their Lilith is. In mythology, Lilith was the first wife of Adam. She was created as an equal, and Adam did not want to have her, around because he could not subject her to his whims. So God created Eve, and then Lilith went off and did her own wild woman thing, right? So that's the feminine aspect of radical change and radical individuality, right? The masculine version of that is Uranus, and I'll get to that when I get to her 11th house. So there's a radical feminine, Taurus kind of power going on, in her home, in her home life, what she can, where she anchors herself, and that Venus being in the 11th house, in Sag, there's experience required here, right? And she wants those, she may want experiences in the home, but they need to be with her friends, and it needs to be cool, it needs to be chill, it needs to be balanced, but it needs to be her way. And Taurus is very much about their own values, right? So she definitely has solid values about what she thinks about her home and what she thinks about is home. Okay. Moving on to the 5th house, it begins also in Taurus here. Anytime a chart has an intercepted sign, right? In this case, Pisces and Virgo, you're going to have stuff doubled up, right? So she's got her 4th and her 5th house begin in Taurus, but the 5th house continues most of the way, mostly into Gemini. So the things that she creates, right? The 5th house is life. It's what we create. It's what we entertain ourselves with. It's about children. It's about, sometimes it may be about pets. If we think about our pets as our family members, and a lot of people do now, I've noticed this. So there is that, that want for experience and for, the knowing of how to be secure and how to feel good. But there's also lots of information here, right? It's Gemini. This is also where she's her true self, right? When she creates things. And it's the, opposite house from the 11th. Whatever we create in our 5th house, right? And she's creating herself, and she knows that, or she at least feels like there's a damage in herself, in her creative ability, maybe in her speech or in her hands, that can't be repaired, right? That's what Chiron is. It's the eternal wound, right? Although we can heal others through that, right? So as she goes into, direct healing on herself, with the things that she creates, whatever that may be, again, this also could be about children or pets, or anything. It could be artwork, right? Could be just words. What the universe is going to give back to her is those 11th house friends, right? So she's going to, heal herself in that creation, and what she's going to gain is experience as an Aquarian person, right? That 11th house sun. And again, she's got luck in that direction, but she has to go directly at it. Like Chiron requires direct action. You have to go directly at it. And as a Capricorn rising, I have a feeling that she is very much going, at all things like, I have to build this legacy, right? But Amy's building herself, right? That is the most important thing that any of us can build, but especially for her, because with Chiron in the 5th here, the creation aspect, and Gemini being the inner self, right? That is creating herself. Okay. So moving on to the 6th house, this is our daily life. This is our routines. This is how we work, right? This is how we serve us, or serve ourselves, or serve others, or how others serve us. And there's a lot of herself that she puts into that, right? And there's also care that she puts into it. And this goes back to her Mercury, that's also in Sagittarius at 0 degrees. So it's very intense, right? It's based on her experience, in life as an Aquarian person that she considers herself as, as a friend to herself, right? So she is moving forward and, creating herself and giving care to herself and to other people in her work, or she likes to, right? I've seen a lot of things, in the last number of years about people being frustrated about their jobs. Like, I don't feel like I'm myself in my job. It's very intense for Amy. She needs to have a job that she feels like she can put her true self into, that she can care for people, and that she can care for herself in a way like that, right? And that continues on into the 7th house, which is Cancer and ruled by the moon. Her moon being in that intercepted sign of Virgo is also a little bit complex, right? It starts in Leo, so her moon is ruled by her sun, and I've actually seen that a number of times. So her inner identity, like how she identifies herself as a human being, as a Sagittarius, as an Aquarian person, as a friend to herself, right? She will notice her moods of service are in there. They're tapped in, right? And they're also informed by her connection with spirituality of some sort, right? That's Neptune. That's that big blue line from her moon to Neptune in the 12th house. So that can be difficult. And Neptune in the 12th is a hard thing, and I will get to that eventually here. But she cares for people, right? All of her relationships are about caring, as any Cap rising is, any Capricorn, any Cap placement whatsoever. And she might be a little emotional about her service to people, and there might be a little bit of ego involved there, right? But that's okay, because if she doesn't know where she is, if she's not creating, right, she creates these relationships. All of us do, and it comes from that inner self, right? That's what what Leo is about. It's about the inner self. It's about a constant fire that's inside of us. We just have to figure out what lights that and what keeps that lit, right? And I'm getting to that. So she could have a lot of Cancers around her. She could have a lot of Leos around her, in her relationships, and they are very important to her. They help her ground out, right? They are, very deep experiences for her. She may also have, Pisces people around her to fill up that big space, although that could be a letting go. That could be very difficult, right? The Virgo people around her, that may be a lot more fulfilling, right? It may level her out, because Virgo is an earth sign, and the moon actually likes being in Virgo because it's grounded, right? The moon is exalted in Taurus, and it's, that's fixed earth, and mutable earth is Virgo. So there's a lot going on in Virgo. She might have some nervous energy about her moods, but as she gets older, and as she is more of a friend to herself, right, as she trusts herself more, that's going to level out, right? Her sun ruling that moon. So she's got the, and I guess I'm already on the 8th house here. So the 8th house is about peak experiences, right? It's about how deep we go with people and how much trust we have in ourselves and in others. And, it's about anything that creates an emotional response, right? Not necessarily anything that creates an emotion, but an emotional response. Finances, any sort of intimacy whatsoever, right? All kinds of contracts. And starting in Leo here with the moon in Virgo, this is definitely about soul contracts, right? Because the moon is an expression of our subconscious, right? It's a reflection. The moon doesn't have its own light. It reflects the sun, right? So our inner self is reflected through our emotions, and it's very true for her, like very much true. So through her work, that's where she's going to find her inner self. That's where she's going to tap in. That intuition is very powerful, right? And it's about, it's about her experience and stuff. And I'll get into that when I get into her 11th house. Man, that 11th house is wanting to pull me in hard. In the next sign here is the circle with the X through it. That's part of fortune in Libra. So anybody that she's in a relationship with any relationship that she builds in the eighth house, any balance that she finds, any justice that she seeks, she's going to get more out of it, right? But again, that's based in her identity, as a Sagittarius, and the creation of herself, and in her moon and her psychic abilities and her intuition going into who to create relationships with, or how to go into those spaces of trust to create balance, right? Now we're in the ninth house, right? Begins in Libra, and it is ruled by Venus, and it's in that in that 11th house of Sag. Her philosophies, her beliefs, they are based on justice and balance and relationship, and it's air sign, right? It can change. These things can change. And with Mars and Pluto here, the rulers of Scorpio, the rulers over her 10th house, right? Both of them. She is aggressively going after those things, and it's odd to people, even astrologers, to think about going aggressively after balance, right? So Mars in Libra, Mars is a warrior, right? He's a soldier, and he has a hard time being a judge because he wants to go get it done. Let's go get it done. Let's go after that thing. Let's get it done. So she wants to create these beliefs, and she's aggressively seeking them, as any Sagittarius is, and she is more so like that. But hers are about balance and justice. With Pluto here in her ninth house in Scorpio, she knows that even if balance is achieved, and that if she trusts people, and that her belief structure is strong, that things can still fall away, right? But they can rebirth, right? Pluto is the veil between this world or this life and the next life, right? It's power and control and fear and rebirthing, right? But you have to push through. It's that moment where you go, oh my God, I don't have any more. I think I might die on this hill. That's Pluto. But if you keep pushing and you go, if I push through this, I might still unalive, right? But if you push through it, Pluto is immediately going to give you a rebirthing, right? He's not going to let you end. He's not going to let you finish. He's going to let you, you're going to push through, you're going to pop through that, and you're going to go, wait, there is more on the other side. There is more here. There is another me. That wasn't the end, right? And with her Pluto conjunct her midheaven, her MC here, as well, that's her 10th house, her fame, her career, how she's known to other people, right? With the South Node being conjunct the MC and Pluto there. Now, the South Node is in her 10th house. So her career is her foundation, right? And I'm going to go into North and South Nodes here because I've hit the South Node, right? So after she pushes through, after she, has a breakthrough moment in that super scorpionic place of philosophy and belief and, balance and justice and trust, right? From an experiential point of view, right? She knows that that's her foundation, right? Her career is what sets up that home that, that she can be safe in, right? That she can be secure in, that she can be, that she can have her own values in, right? She may not be herself. Scorpio, right? 10th house is very mysterious. Like there's a lot of trades or a lot of directions that somebody with a 10th house in Scorpio can go. Lots of directions, right? But I'm guessing it is definitely about, again, like I said, justice and balance and order and trust, right? The 10th house, the foundation of the 10th house is Capricorn, right? That's her rising sign. So she shows that Capricorn face at work, but that's not her. That's not who she really is in her public life, right? So, if she does get some, some actual public fame, and it's actually a possibility because of her 11th house sun. It may be, born in 1985. So she is, oh Lord, let me do math. She's going to be 37 this year, right? And that's a second house year, right? This year she is, working on, that Capricorn projection, right? Last year, probably pretty rough for her. 36, yeah. 37 is she's going to be working on, her value system again. So putting together that, that career that it doesn't seem like it might shift a lot, but it definitely transforms, right? Bursting through the veils and then realizing that that's her foundation. But she is not her career, right? Amy, you're not your career. You're not. You got that face on and you're trying to do that, and you were probably shown to do that by the older people around you, by those Sagittarians, those people that you identified yourself with because you wanted that experience. It's not who you are, and you know that, right? Even though you put the face on, and it's a hard face, man. It's a good face. There's nothing wrong with it, okay? But everybody hides, right? Everybody hides from things and from other people, and making sure that you get ahead in life is with those public relationships. But your friends, the people that you create for, right? The people that you serve daily, they know who you are, and that's okay, right? Now moving into the 11th house, right? Which starts at the 29th degree of Scorpio. Super intense about her friends, right? Anybody that does not match that vetted check at the beginning does not get in, right? And it might be people from her public life, right? Because it's that's a lot of Scorpio. It's completely encompassing her 10th house, and the ones that vet in, the ones that she finds in those secret places, in that secret space, that see who she is, that she sees who they are, they vet each other, then they become friends. And as soon as that comes in, then she starts telling them about her experiences, right? That's when that Mercury kicks in. That's when that Venus kicks in, right? That's when that care finally kicks in, right? And it's through that experience. It's also about caring for people who have been there, done that, who have gone through the fire, right? She's, if she sees somebody go through a similar experience of hers, and then she trusts them, that's really where they come in big, right? It's a big spot, right? It's really big. And Saturn conjunct that, they've got to put the time in. If they don't put the time in over a long period, then so she may not have a lot of friends, but they are hardcore. It's the difference in having, an army of friends and in having like 5 people that you could take over a country with, right? That's who her friends are, which is, again, that's amazing. That's a perfect thing to have. It's an awesome thing to have. And she definitely associates herself with them because she's gone through those experiences, right, with them as a Sagittarius. And there with Uranus, there's probably lots of communication involved, right? This is the 11th house. It's the house that is, effectively ruled by Uranus, Aquarius. So there's probably lots of communication, cell phones and emails and whatever, keeping up with those friends and making sure that she knows where their experiences are going, and so that she can add to her own. And now we come to the 12th house, right, which also begins in Sagittarius, that we've been talking about here. Sagittarius being ruled by Jupiter, and that Jupiter is in the first in Aquarius, right? So this is how we let go. This is how we hide from ourselves. This is how we sacrifice. This is our, how we undo ourselves. And this is also, how we create boundaries and create magic for ourselves too, and for the rest of the world. With Neptune here, Neptune makes these details foggy, right? It makes her structure foggy. It's her beliefs are hard to get to, right? You can see that in her second house with that intercepted Pisces, right? Neptune in the 12th, that is a placement that a lot of people who have either attempted or who have succeeded in unaliving themselves. I have had my brushes with that. My Neptune is in the 12th house. It's in Sagittarius though. So it's about my beliefs and it's about my, my experience. And when things get yanked out from under me, it gets real bad. It can get really bad. But I know that I know where my foundation is, right? My foundation is in the fifth, is in, the things I create, right? Her foundation is in her career, that something that she trusts, and it's also in her friends, right? That's where that Jupiter is, and set by Saturn and Uranus, right? So remember who your friends are, Amy. Remember how much fire they've gone through with you, and you know that they're trusted, right? Listen to them, pay attention to them, and they, you guys will continue to go through experiences together, right? It may be a small crew and it may take a long time to build them, but that's okay. It really is. And with that, we come back around to the first house. Thank you, Amy, for sending me your information and for interacting with me in my channel, and for, allowing this gift of yourself to humanity through to my other subscribers and anybody else that bounces across this thing. The rest of you guys can get a hold of me at North Node Astrology, either through YouTube or TikTok or Facebook. And I hope to see and talk with you guys soon about astrology.